Or hey, Jamie. I'm going to give it a couple minutes, let some people get in here. I'm a few minutes early. Well, 1 minute early. I was rushing. I changed the design in the last 15 minutes and had to recut some things. Hopefully they'll work. If they don't, I've got my original as a backup. Hi, Sharon. All right. Let's see. Thank you, Jamie, for the sound check. Hey, Linda. Louise. And there's Miss Bonnie. You're under a flood warning. We just got some thunder and lightning a few minutes ago. Hopefully I won't get knocked out. Hi, Mika. Let's go ahead and play the intro and we'll get started, guys. All right, and let's go the overhead. Let's do that. So, I had showed you guys on Wednesday this mock-up that I made that I was working on and changing some things to. And I have loaded the file for you guys, but don't cut it yet because depending on what happens on tonight's live, I may make some changes to it. Sure, Tony. So it's in the files for all of my supporters, Kofi and Patron. I greatly appreciate you. But please hold off on cutting it until after tonight's live. So if I need to tweak the file, I can. Because I didn't get to work on it yesterday. We had, my husband's side of the family had a death in the family, unexpected. And I didn't get to work on anything. So I was, in the last 15 minutes, I decided I was going to change the design altogether. So just be aware, if you cut it, you can cut, let me go over and show you guys. If you don't want to wait, this one will work, the red one, the one that's in red right here. I know it will work, but I redid this slot here and I want to test it. So worst case scenario, if you cut it, you will be out one sheet of paper. This one, in the last 15 minutes, I just decided, why did I put this in the lid? Why did I do that? Yeah, it was cool, but why not in the base? So I said, well, I'm just going to give them both options. So I'm giving you guys two boxes in one. One is going to be a pull out like I just showed you, and we did that I showed you guys on Monday. And it's going to pull out the card from the lid. The one here in the purple or blue, whatever it's showing on your screen, is going to pull out from the bottom of the box. From within it. You won't be able to see it. It's going to be tucked away. But it's basically the same thing. It's just going to be in the base instead of the top. That way we can use our pretty foil acetate in the top instead of the silver like I did and put it together. So just so you know, this or this, and then of course you'll need your card mechanism, and these are decorations and panels, and you can put whatever you want. I just left these in the file, guys. You can unflatten these and remove that, and change it back to cut and then put whatever you want on there, but I left it in the file for you guys. If you are not a Patreon or Kofi supporter, if you want to do one-time support, you can do that on Kofi, but you have to do it tonight to get access to this file. After midnight, you'll have to be a monthly supporter to get it. So tonight's the only night that you can get the file for one-time support on Kofi, and that's www.ko-fi.com/April. So one-time support, it's already posted up. It should give you access to that post. You have to be subscribed on Kofi, you have to be logged in when you do your support. If you don't, you may not get to access it. So make sure you're logged in before you do that one-time support. But you will get this file. All right, so let's go over and to the overhead, and I'll show you guys what I mean. And as always, if you have any questions on Design Space, ask away. If you don't understand what the moderators are telling you, we'll go on screen and show you. Anytime you have any kind of issue with Design Space, or you need to ask a question about weld or slice or contour. I don't know what that would be in Australia, Tony. It's through PayPal, so I guess they would convert that for you. But if you do the red one in the file, it's going to pull out like this. Don't pay attention to this one. This one comes out because this is my mock-up and I was just working on it. So that's what you're going to get if you do the one in red. Okay? And I've cut two here to play with. I'm going to put this one off to the side, and you can see that this lid has a slit cut in it. So if you have the one with the lid, it's going to go together just a little bit different than this one that does not have that slit in it. But you'll figure it out. It's going to be very easy. You're just going to put, instead of a piece of clear acetate on the back side of your window, you're going to put something pretty that's in contrast. Okay, for your lid cover there, because if you don't, you'll be able to see the card mechanism in there, and we don't want that. If you're doing the one like I am, I'm going to get rid of these extras there. If you're doing the one with the acetate in the top and it pulling out from the bottom, which is what I am testing as we do our little file tonight, and to see if it will work, then you're going to use acetate there. And this is what your box will look like. And on the other one, you won't have this hole in the box. So that's the difference. The base is different on one and the lid. So let's just start with the base. And I cut this out of craft board, the Cricut craft board, because I like to have a nice sturdy box. I don't like a flimsy box, and to me cardstock is just too light for a good box, especially if you're going to be putting baked goods like cupcakes in this, guys. You want to make sure that you've got a good heavy base. You don't want your box to flop over when you go to hand it to them. You got to hand it to them and it does this and everything spills out of the box. You don't want that to happen. So use at least a craft weight or a 110 pound or your craft board for this. And if you're using the one on with the card that pulls out of the base, you're going to have this piece that you don't have with the other one, because you don't need it with the other one. If you are doing your card out of the lid, you won't need that. I'm just going to fold it on all its scores. And this one, I don't know why my bases are different colors. They're both Cricut and they're both craft board, but I don't know if you guys can see a difference there, but there's a difference in color on mine. Don't know why. One is like a creamy color. And I do recommend using glue when you're doing your boxes, if you can get it to come out of the bottle, unlike me. I'm using art glitter glue. Yes, please, thumbs up, share, invite people, ask them to come and watch the YouTube video. Well, it doesn't want to cooperate. Let me get my ugly bottle of glue. One that's all, my label's all crinkled up and I got goo all over the top of it, but the glue will come out. Make sure you keep your corners square. And worst case scenario, I just have to repair this if it doesn't work, because I have not tested this yet. So you guys get to see it firsthand and watch me test it, even though I cut it from pretty paper. brush or something. I don't know where that came from. Make sure that you're gluing your tabs to the inside of the box. Wrong bottle. You don't want your tabs on the outside of the box. They'll interfere with the lid and it won't look as pretty. Didn't get that on there square. And it's up to you how you want this to pull out. If you want it to be on the top, you can, it depends on you. You can have it pull from whatever side. I am going with mine to the right. So my slot's going to be to the right when I do this. And I'm just going to set that to the side for now. And we are going to fold up our lid. Same thing. You're going to fold in your tabs. And I like to do this part before I put in my acetate, just so it gives me a guide. Make sure when you take this off of your mat that you're very careful. And of course, if you've learned to use your contour tool, you can change whatever's in your window, because you can contour it all out and you can change what is in your lid for a name or whatever. If you want to do the knockout names or Happy Valentine's or do a different heart, use your contour tool and slice. Just make sure that when you detach your score lines that you just move them to the back so you don't lose them, but line up your image inside those score lines so it slices in the right place on your lid. Oops, I think I got a little bit off of my score line there. Maybe not. Okay, and now I have a guide for my acetate. And if you're using the Cricut foil acetate, don't forget to remove the protective film. And this is a piece that got messed up, but I decided I was going to use it for this anyway. It had got a dent or a ripple in it somehow. I don't know how. But one side has a protective film on it, and you want to peel that off. Okay. And that's just to keep the stars from getting scratched and stuff like that in shipping and rubbing off and stuff, all that kind of good stuff. I'm just going to make sure that it fits, dry fit it. And art glitter glue will hold this in. If you're afraid that it won't hold in well enough, use some tearing tape or red line tape. Anything like that. I do not put glue onto this part of mine because it will show through when the lid is off of the box. I got a little bit of, that's what our frame is for, is to hide any kind of glue. But art glitter glue dries clear, has no glitter or anything in it. And then I've got this little frame just to give it a finished look. This is completely optional. If you want to cut it, fine. I keep picking that bottle up. If you want to cut it, fine, and if you don't want to cut it, you don't have to. I just like it, especially if I use a tearing tape. This kind of helps hide my tearing tape. And you can put it on the acetate before you put it on, and then use that as a guide to put your tearing tape so that it won't show through the lid, if that makes sense. Does everybody understand that? Put your glue on here or tearing tape and put it on the acetate. Then flip your acetate over, put your tearing tape on that, and that way when you place it on to the lid, you won't see your tearing tape because you stayed in the line of your frame. I missed what Sue said. Maybe that's it, Jamie. Maybe the maybe it's a difference between the one that came, because I did buy some packs that had the 3 colors in it, the craft color, the black, and the white. And maybe that's the difference. Maybe one of them has a different color. But again, we're just gluing our 4 tabs, keeping it square. You don't want a box lid that's not square. I forgot to use my bone folder on mine too, but it'll be okay. Make sure you get good crisp lines on yours, not like me. And make sure all your tabs go to the inside so that your box lid is pretty. You don't see all those tabs on the outside. I'm just going to give mine a little pinch here because I forgot to use my bone folder. And this cardstock is because I had some, I got a good deal on some AC American Crafts, I think it was. I got like a whole big huge pack of it for $5, so I'm trying to use some of that up since Christmas is over. I'm saving my Cricut stuff. But see, your slot is going to be over here for your card on this. So we've got our lid done. So now let's work on putting our card together. In the file, you're going to have a piece like this. And don't do like me. If you've got a textured and a smooth side, make sure you cut your textured side down because you can't change this. This has to be the bottom. Okay? You can't flip it over. Not going to work. So, make sure that you cut it with the texture going the right direction. And then I had, there they are. Just going to go ahead and start placing my panels. Now these panels are pretty big. It's a pretty big card that comes out of there. A little fuzz on there. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and put that on. I am not going to glue it to the inside of my card yet, guys. Just going to press that down, give it time to dry. Be very careful when you're doing this and you're putting embellishments on these. I don't know. I just got some kind of glue or something all over that. Looks like it has ink in it as well. Maybe off my sponge. I had so much stuff going on here yesterday. I'm just going to flip that over just in case it shows. So I'll just flip it this way. I'm just going to line that one up also. Make sure you get them good and straight and even. I hope I got mine even. I'm just going to set that off to the side. Then you have a strip, just a white strip. Now I did cut this out of the same craft board, but I had a piece of scrap. Don't let your machine cut this out of another piece because you can just cut a length of it off of the scrap from your box where your box cuts. And this box is different here because it has a little dip out. This is going to be your card side on this one if you use the red top. Because I cut a little dip in this so that the box, I noticed that the edge of the box top was catching the card. So I kind of cut that out on this one so you guys wouldn't have to deal with that. So you'll need to pay attention to that. This is just an extra reinforcement piece. That's all it is. And I did cut it out of the heavy material because I didn't know how much I was going to be pulling this in and out and playing with it. You don't know how much the recipient will do that. So I wanted to kind of just beef this up a little bit. And I'm just going to make sure I get it up to this edge here so that it's nice and flush on that edge right there. Then I'm just going to fold it over. It's got a score line. Make sure you fold and score it. And then we're just going to place it in and make sure that it fits and that it stops. And it does. Make sure that, oh, can't get my fingers on it. Make sure that it opens up, that you have room to open it. okay? Then we're going to take our base piece. Make sure that it fits in there. We're just dry fitting it. And I cut this one by hand and I cut it the wrong size. So let me cut another one really quick. I am just going to go in here and grab this. It won't take but a second to cut a square. And duplicate. Let's just make that. I'm just coming in. Let me just take you guys over with me. I just duplicated my square that was in the group here and changed it to black. Since I'm only cutting one piece, we're going to hit make it. And I am going to use a green mat because I'm cutting this out of craft board. I'm going to pop down to, and don't pay attention, you won't be cutting all of this, guys. You're only going to be cutting one box and one top instead of both of them that's in the file showing. I'm just going to load it up. I'm going to hit continue. Does anybody have any design space questions? And there's my craft board. And we're going to cut. Hi, Marianne. That's okay. I don't normally go live on Wednesdays. In case you guys haven't noticed, we are now live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so that all of Melody's fans, because I know that we both have a lot of the same members, so you guys don't miss anything. I decided that I would go on days where she wasn't, and that way you could watch 6 days a week, either myself or her. So we are changed up to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. So now I've got that cut. Let me just check and dry fit that, and that's much better. Much better than the one I cut before. The one I cut was a little on the small side. Yeah, you can see the difference there. So I'm just going to use that for a scrap. So now I've got my base, and I'm going to prepare that. I took my card out. I've already dry fitted that. And for this, I am going to use some foam tape. Okay? And this is, I don't know, 1/4 inch. Yep. 1/4 inch, and I'm just going to go right along the edge of that base piece. Snip that off. Then I'm going to come down here to the bottom. We're going to put that one on there and snip that off. And then we're going to continue around on this side and snip that off. And you can get this foam tape, guys, from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, Scrapbook.com. There's links down below. Amazon. Tons and tons and tons of places to get it. The next thing you're going to do is, this is not fitting. And I did it this way because depending on what tape you use, some of you may have 1/8 inch of something, some of you may have 1/2 inch. I wanted you to be able to work with your card, and this is going to play true. You're going to do the same thing with the lid that I'm doing here, because with the other box, if you're doing it out of the lid, you're going to have your solid piece here, okay, and then you're going to just dry fit this piece in. Then you're going to take your second piece, your pretty piece that's going on the inside of the lid here, which is the same color as the lid, and that's the piece that you're going to be doing this to. Where we're doing it for this, you're going to be doing it for this. That's the only difference, okay? But I didn't know what size tapes you guys may have in your Craft Arsenal. So I wanted to make sure that this stemmed the whole side, and I'm just going to trim this off a 1/4 inch, and you can mark it with the pen, anything that you want, because it is the same width as the card. And I'm just going to use a pen here, and I want to take off a 1/4 inch on each side, and no more than that, until I see if it fits. So I'm just going to lay that right there and make my mark. I'm going to come over here. Hope you guys can see me. I'm off the camera. Just going to take off a 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to put it right there and mark a 1/4 inch. And then I'm just going to snip a 1/4 inch off of each side. I'm doing that because I have 1/4 inch material. And make sure you get it straight too. Don't want it cattywampy because you want it to go in that channel. If you're using 1/2 inch, you may want to cut it and split it down the side or down the middle. And if you do, the part that you split, put it to the outside. Okay? Put your smooth, regular side instead of your irregular side inside. And you'll be fine. And it's still a little off, so I'm just going to go and shave off just a tiny bit more. Until I get it to fit in there smoothly. I got a little bit there. You're going to give it just a teeny tiny bit of play, not a lot. You can see I'm cutting off a little bit at a time each time that I do that, just to try and make sure that I don't take too much. You don't want it wobbly in there. And that looks good. I've got just a little bit of play, about a fingernail's width in there for that card. So now I'm going to take and place that right in, and it's still catching right there. That's good. Want to center that up, and now I'm going to peel my tape, but I'm not going to peel it all the way up, just a little, and then fold it over like so. I'm going to take this back piece and I'm just going to fold my tapes over just so I can grab them. Okay. And with your card in there, you're going to bring this in and center it up, because you're going to have a little bit of area on each side, and that's okay. And I'm just going to place it down, and then I'm going to do my little test. Oops. Yeah, it's stuck somewhere. Ah, I know what I did. I got it on the wrong one. Your tape is supposed to be, I put my tape in backwards. Doggone it. And it's stuck on the tape. Well, don't do what I just did. There it goes. Ah, I saved it, I hope. There we go. Make sure that you peeled your tape and you put it in. You want it to be stuck at the back, not the front. You want to make sure everything is working before you do that. That way you can lift up this front piece and you can take this out and trim it should you need to. I think it's going to be okay. I forgot to round this. I have to round that in the file, guys. So make sure that I forgot to round the center. Just going to use my corner punch, and I will fix the file for you guys on this because I didn't round it right there, and if I don't, it's going to hang. So now I've got that done. I'm just going to peel my tapes out, and I will let you guys see how I go in and fix that. I lost my tape for the back, but that's okay. Don't need it. Make sure you get all your tapes. Okay, so now it's going to fit right inside the box there. Now we're going to put our decorative pieces on. And the reason I didn't put these on first is because I wanted to make sure that I centered them up and gave them some space around the box, and it's easier to do once you've got it together so that it looks right when it's pulled out. So it looks centered. Make sure it's straight. And if you've got a lot of embellishments on your cards, guys, double up your foam tape. Give it some more height so that it can move in and out, and you'll have to make your slot a little bit bigger. We're going to open that up. There we go. And now we have a hidden card. And instead of a ribbon on mine, I am going to use this clamp, and I'm just going to clamp that bottom piece so I have a little pull. You can do a ribbon, do whatever you want. I did not put a hole in it so that you guys could decide what you wanted to do. You can use your hole punch. But how cute is that? I love it. I think I like it in the base better than I do the top because it doesn't flop. On the other one, the weight, it just flops down when you pull it out, and this one stays. So I think I like the bottom best. But you guys have both. You have an option. So I am going to go into the file now and let you guys see how we fix that. So let's go over to the monitor here and let me cancel this. All right, so here's the one that comes out of the lid, and I'm just going to hide that one, guys. So if you open up the file, it's there. It's just hidden. You'll have to look for it. I'm going to hide all these pieces right, or group them and get them out of my way. Group that, and I am going to hide that group as well. You need those. This we don't need. I added that. It's already in that group. So I'm just going to hide this group too, just so we have just what we're working with. Don't let me forget to unhide it before we come in here. So I forgot to put my little divot right here in that card. So I'm going to go and get a circle and a square. In case you guys are wondering how you can do this, or you don't start with the shape that has that curve on it right here, there's an easy way of doing it. And this is the, this right here is what the standard is, 3.111 for Cricut, and everything comes in the same size, your squares, your circles, all of that. I'm just going to select them both, and I'm going to align them in the center, and I'm going to slice. Because I only have 2 layers, I can slice. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this is my original piece I sliced, and here's the piece sliced right out of that square, and I'm going to get rid of that. Now I'm going to come over to contour, and I am going to hide all contours and save myself one. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to flip them the way that I need them. And I am going to duplicate that. And if I go over to contour, guess what? I've got them all there. So it doesn't really matter which one you do. And I'll just show you guys on this one. I'm just going to hide, or take that one and hide these. Am I getting the right? Oops. Wrong one. I don't want that one. I don't want that one, and I don't want that one. There we go. So now I have both of them, and if you want to just do one, you can duplicate it in this one and just flip it. I am going to put them together because I don't need to round off here. I need to round off in here. So I'm going to align them to the right. And they're not quite touching. I need them to touch. Align to the right, and then I'm going to weld it. Now I have the shape I need. So let's go in there and make it the right curve. I want to get it as close to this one as possible. That looks good. Looks like I'm there. So now I've got to come in here and detach. And I'm just going to move my score line out of the way. Oops, no, I'm not. Not yet. Oops. I'm going to line this up in that center. Because I can't go center because it will be off, because this is past center. So I can't do it that way. So I'm just going to bring this in and line it up right there. And I'm just going to get my crosshairs right there on it. And make sure that I've got it out to the edge of the card. Now I'm going to move my score line. I'm going to select the two. Only have 2 layers selected. And slice. I'm going to pull out that piece. I'm going to bring my score line back to the front. And I am going to change it to draw. And this is just so I can make sure that I've got it the right length, because our score line can be tricky sometimes. And then I'm going to change it back to score when it's lined up in there and attach it. I'm going to save. And it's fixed. So now this, when it's closed, it will meet up and give it that curve where I used my chomper to chomp it off before, because I forgot to, because this was my mock-up. Yours is now going to be fixed, and it should be fine. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go a step further just to make sure they're exact. Let me come back again. Let me go back one more time. I want my trash. Where's that trash? There's that trash. I'm going to bring that in just so that it sits on both lines and lines up. And I'm going to slice that. See, that would have been off a little bit. I'm off. Let me get it. I was down too far. Gonna bump it up just a tiny bit. There we go. Now let's slice that. That should be better. Perfect. Let's go back down here. And let's take care of this one. Hopefully this is right and you guys get it. And slice that one. You know what? That looks different. I'm going to leave them. I should have done it before. It might be slightly off from the center one, but the center ones are going to match up and the bottom ones are going to match up, and that's what's important. But you can always rework those because they just showed you how to weld and slice and get all of that in there. We're going to unhide everything and get it set back up for you guys. Going to come in here and unhide this. So these are your decorative pieces right here. Where's my little line? There is the box top. There's your box with the top pull out. This one is the one with the bottom pull out so that the card is in the bottom. So hide whichever one you don't want. And I got something else hidden in there. There it is. And that's your reinforcement piece. Right there. And I'm going to save. So now if you open the file, it should be right. Everything should be fine. Yeah, we can do that, Patty. I plan to do that on Fridays, on Freebie Fridays, so that whatever we create is free for everybody, supporters and non-supporters alike, with our new format on Mondays and Wednesdays. Those are going to be mainly supporter files. This is my plan, and if you guys like it, that's great. If you don't, please give me feedback, because I want to give you what you want. And my plans are on Monday nights to give you guys a monthly supporter only file. Then at 2 of the Wednesdays per month, a monthly supporter only file, and a one-time or monthly. So those that can't do monthly support and still want some files, they'll still have an opportunity to get Wednesday's files by doing one-time support. And then on Fridays, I wanted to do Freebie Friday, where it doesn't matter if you support or not, you still get a file for the group. So I don't want to leave anybody out, but I do want to make sure that my monthly supporters get more than everybody else, because they're paying for that support for a reason. And that's so they get the extras. So you guys let me know if that sounds good to you. And that way you can differentiate and know that Monday's files, that file is going to be for my monthly supporters, and that's the only way to get it. Wednesday, you can get it on one-time support or monthly, and then on Fridays, anybody can get it. Yes, I sure will, Sue. If you have anything that you want us to replicate or do, I will not copy somebody else's file exactly. I don't do that, but I will come up with our own version of it. I'm happy to do that. We all do that. That's how we create. So if you see something, you let me know. I'll be happy to try and create a file for it. I'm not going to promise, because sometimes I get stumped. Yes, I can tell everybody how to support. You can come over to, let me pull up a page here. Give me just a second, guys, for it to pull up. I'm running a lot of stuff, so sometimes it takes a minute. So you can come over to Patreon, and I'll give you that link down below. Let me get my other page up here. I may have to pull up another page because I'm not logged in, and I don't know that I can get logged in on that one. But you can support on Patreon. The first thing you want to do is to accept cookies, and then you're going to log in. And if you're not signed up, you just want to sign up, and then you're going to search for Crafting with April. I'm in there, and you can choose to support and do your $5, and you will get access to the password on the files. The files are over on craftingwithapril.co because they don't give us a file storage. You'll come over to my site once you have the password, and you will click on the supporter files, and you can see that it's a black box, password protected. And then you will be able to come in and you will be able to access the files. So everything is in here. There are several tabs. We just started on 2020. These are exclusive files. These are files that were not knowingly released to the public. There are tons of files in here for a couple of years of files in here that were supporter only. If they got leaked out, they got leaked out, but most of those are not. Designs files, that tab, these files may or may not have been public at one time and then moved over to supporter only, or they were released to the public at some point. So they could be both. But there are tons of files in here as well as the photo changing card. Everybody really loved that one where it changed, the photo changed. So there are tons of things in here, guys. And most everything has a video. If it has the tutorial here, you can click on that and it's going to take you to the video that shows you how to put it together. Okay, so I haven't left you guys in the dark. Some of these are just self-explanatory and I don't have a video on them. But if you get stuck, I'm happy to help you. This is basically the same box that we just did tonight. I just changed the inside. So tons and tons of stuff in here. You will get access to all those. And then there were SVGs that I made from various different things in here for whatever. Somebody asked me to make it and I made it and shared it. So we have those in there. And then we have our Christmas from last year. I put it on a separate tab. There are some Christmas files. Those are supporter only. And then you can join Patreon or Kofi right here from my website. Right here, these two tabs. These are free to the public. These are free to the public. File request, guys. This, you'll have to log in to get to that. But file requests, there are only two, and that's the purse bag and the Mickey Mouse earrings. Those are free. If anybody wants them, you have to sign up, and you can request those two files. You cannot request any other files because the rest of my files are for my Patreon. So it won't do any good to go in there and request a file. You're just going to get an email saying, I'm sorry, but that's a monthly supporter only file, or you had to be a one-time supporter that day file to get it. So the only two files available are the two that are showing in there. Giveaways, when we have one, those are in there as well. But you have to log in for the pages to get into any of the files, except supporter files. And if you have the password, you can go straight to it without logging in on the site with the black password box. So you get tons of stuff. And that's okay, Jamie. All of you guys that are on Patreon, if you like Patreon, that's perfect. It's fantastic. You can stay there. It's not a problem. And I'm going to tell you the difference. The difference is on Kofi. Kofi doesn't email you. If I go in and I make a post on Patreon about tonight's video, it's going to email everybody. Where Kofi, you have to come in and you have to look. The reason I switched to Kofi, and I'm just going to be upfront and honest, Patreon has more fees than I can afford to pay them. Because they do take a percentage of what we get from you guys. They do. And over on Kofi, I only pay a PayPal fee. I don't pay two fees, I only pay one. And that's the difference. But it makes no difference to me. It's what is best for you guys. Okay? Plus, Patreon doesn't have a one-time support, and Kofi does. Because I think I can log into Kofi. Let me drag it over here so no personal information is shown. And I will show you guys where the difference there. Because they're both great. I love Patreon. I love Kofi. But they have different options. And I wanted to be sure that everybody had options. Because I did have some people approach and say, hey, I can't afford to do it monthly, but I really want this file. Let me pay you for it. And I was like, well, let me see what I can do. And I had rather do one-time support and offer those files than I had to do them to go without anything at all. I don't want that to happen. So let me get on my page here. On Kofi, you want to make sure that you're logged in. Once you have created your Kofi account and you're logged in, you can come to my page, okay, which is kofi.com/April. And then right here you can buy a coffee. One-time coffee, that's just like right now, and you can private message me by selecting on it and sending me a private message if you need to. And you can do one-time support. What one-time support does on Kofi is it gives you the file that I offer that night. Like tonight. Tonight's box is being offered on one-time only support. And if you do that one-time support, you're going to get tonight's file and any other files that I give to one-time supporters for the next 30 days. Not monthly, because I do have some that are monthly only. And you will get only those Wednesday files that I give to supporters that do the one-time support. The $5 doesn't get you just tonight's file. It gets you the files for the next 30 days that I give to one-time supporters. Okay? Monthly is going to give you all the files. It's going to give you everything. Everything you saw over there on craftingwithapril.co. And it's the same thing. You're going to get the password. You're going to go over to the files on craftingwithapril.co and you're just going to put that password in the black box. Once you're in there with the black box, you've got access to everything. You may still have to, if you want to access those other pages, like you saw that I was able to access the supporter pages, I didn't log in. Had I gone over there and logged in, I could have accessed all the pages. But I wanted it to be quick and simple for you guys, so supporter pages, you didn't have to log in just to go over there and get a file. You could just go right to it. So does that make sense to everybody? So when you're logged in on, once you have your Kofi account and you're logged in, you do not have to be gold or do any of that. That's for creators like me, where I paid a fee to have this. You're going to come in here and do one time, or if you want all the files, you're going to click on monthly and do support now. And I don't see any private information. I don't see anything. You pay through PayPal and it's done. Patreon is a little bit different. Patreon is going to bill you the first day of each month. So on Patreon, if you're in here and you subscribe on February 26th, on March 1st, it's going to charge you again. So just so you know, it's monthly. It's $5, Vicki. It's the same thing. As much as you want. On Kofi, you can make it any amount you want. Right here, because you can change the amount of coffees. If you want to do $20 a month, you can. If you want to do $5 a month, you can. If you want to do 10, you can. So monthly is whatever you want it to be. But it's $5 minimum. And on Patreon, it's $5. Unless you were from the early days and you still have your Patreon account. All the Patreon supporters, we used to have a $1 and a $2, and I don't do those anymore. They're all set to $5 to be fair for everybody. But those Patreons that were with me from the beginning, that got in on those $1 and $2 levels, they have been allowed to remain on those levels. And let me just say, so that you guys know, if you are a Patreon supporter and your card lapses or gets declined for any reason, you will only be able to jump back on the $5 level. It will not let me go back to the 1 and 2. So did that clear up how you can support, guys? How to do the writing for cards? Sure. Since you don't have print and cut and you want to do writing on these, Sharon, when you come into the file, you're going to ungroup it. And then you're going to take this piece that has the print and cut on it, and you're going to come over to the bottom right, and you're going to unflatten. No, Vicki, if you don't have PayPal, use Patreon. So you're just going to get rid of that image, and so you can just deselect it. And then I'm going to come over here, and up here at the fill, I'm going to change that to no fill because it's flattened for print and cut, and it's going to change color. And then you can change it back to white or whatever color that you want it to be. And then you can get your text. And right here in the text box, you can choose a writing style. And then you can put whatever you want for your text in there. And then, of course, you're going to bring it in and shrink it down and curve it and letter space it. You want it to look good, so you don't want your L to look like it's on top of your A. And then you can curve it, do whatever you want, have it say whatever you want. And then you're going to select the two after you align it. Oops. And then you're going to attach it. Now this is set up to draw. If you look in the layers panel, it's going to draw. Flatten, when you have it flattened correctly, just to print it and cut the shape and not cut the inside, it will be one single layer. And that's what flatten does. Vicki, we love questions. That's okay. Ask away. That's what we're here for. So that's how you can do that, Sharon, if you need to do writing instead. Or you can also select images that are for writing or not for writing. Let's just type in love. Oops. I had Valentine in there, didn't I? So, yeah, those images are easily changed out. You can change any of these. Now remember, it's going to follow the cut line if you change it to draw on some of these, but some of them are set up for draw. If I can find one. I know it's in here. Here's one that's set up to draw. So I'm going to select that one, and the Cupid is too. Let's just select those. And then I can bring these in and put them in. And change my pen color to whatever I want that to be. And then I can select that and attach it as well. So you can do writing instead of any of I'm just going to delete him, of any of the print and cut. So there's workarounds everything. You can change it and make it colors. You can do all sorts of stuff. I'm just going to save that. That way there's a draw in there for anybody that wants it. They have one set on draw and one for print and cut. You can pick your own images. Vicki, if you have any more questions, you can also, if you think of something after the live and you forget to ask, message me. I'm happy to help you. All of my patrons and Kofis know they can message me anytime. It may take me a little bit to get back to you guys, but I will get back to you, I promise. You can always tag me as well. I am revamping I used to have a secret Patreon group. I am resetting that group to a supporter group, and I will be posting the links on Kofi and in Patreon for you guys. I may just change the name of the Patreon so the patrons that are in there don't have to move, and change the name of that so that my Kofi supporters can get in there as well. The thing is if you're in there, you cannot post any links to any files, because if somebody accidentally gets added to that group, we don't want them getting free files after you guys had to pay for them, or pay for your support, that is, because that's not fair. And that's the only stipulation. You do have more freedoms. You can post links and stuff as long as they're not affiliate links and other YouTubes and everything else. Those are freedoms that are allowed to my supporters in our smaller group. Things that we don't do out in the big groups. So does anybody have any other questions? We can come back to the monitor if we need to. I am just in love with this little box. I love that I decided to put it in the base. To me, the base is going to be the best one. You can see how it flops down if I lift it up, but when it's sitting on the table, it's not going to do that. If you put it on the lid, it's going to flop no matter what you do because it's going to be heavy. But I love it. How cute. I may make a couple more, make these smaller. That's what I'm thinking of doing. And if I do, it will be, I'm not going to make a video on it. We're not going to do it live. I'm just going to make some smaller boxes with a tag size that pulls out of the lid, probably, maybe even the bottom, that has a tag on it that pulls out and goes in for smaller items. But they'll go together the same way. So I'm not going to do a video or anything like that on them. I'm just going to post it up in the supporter files. I'm just giving it a minute here, guys, because I know there's a teeny tiny little bit of lag, and I want to make sure that I don't leave anybody out. Yeah, you can do this for any occasion, Jamie. It can be Christmas, Valentine's, birthdays, just because. Because remember, guys, we did this. This is the box. You can change this lid up any way you want. Let me just go over. We have a couple minutes and show you guys. Let me just duplicate the lid. We're going to pretend the score lines are on here. Just going to move this down to the bottom of the screen so that we can delete it after and not be interfered with anything else. To do that, just pretend our score lines are on here. You're going to detach and move your score lines to the back. Okay? Then you're going to select contour and you're going to hide all contours. And now you have a base lid. But let me come back in here and show all contours. If you're wondering what size you can do, I said show all contours. It's wanting to be finicky now. There we go. So this is, I did that from the lid. I got to go back in and hide that because I changed it up. So here's what you have. And you're going to go in and get a square just so you know that this is the size of your cutout. Now you have a little bit of area. I had to make this one shorter through here because of the way this heart was made. But you can square this up and let's make it an even 5.9. I think it was actually a 6-inch square. So let's make it 6. Okay, now I've got my 6-inch square, so I'm just going to say it's 6 inches. I'm going to contour, going to hide all contours. I'm going to bring this in. I am going to align it center. We're going to slice. You can slice if you only have 2 layers, and then we can get rid of those. Now we have our score lines, and you want to attach those back. Now you have something that doesn't have anything but a window in it. And if you want to put your name in there, because we've done several of these. Let me change this back to regular. And I'm going to pick a script font. Okay, so now I have my name. And I'm going to letter space them. Not line. Letter. There's not a line there to space. And now I'm going to, because I don't like the way that looks, I'm going to go to advanced and I'm going to ungroup to letters. I'm going to stretch that A out a little bit. And then I'm going to weld all of that. Once I have it like I want it, and it's totally up to you. We like to do these with shadow layers because they just pop. But you can do this any way that you want. And you're just going to stretch it and maneuver it to fit in there like you want. And it has to touch the sides. If it doesn't touch up here at the top, it's okay. But you want it to touch in as many spots as possible. and then you can weld that. And now that's going to cut out and be part of the lid. So you can make this lid be anything you want it to be in this file. Okay, does that make sense? Does everybody understand that? You can put anything you want on that lid. It doesn't have to be the hearts that I gave you in the file. You can make that anything you want. You saw me just transform this lid to this one in just a few minutes. So you can have it say happy birthday. There are lots of images over in Design Space that have a shadow layer, and you can use those. Like this one right here. You could put this one in here. And that way the happy birthday could be cut out of something. The whole base would be, we're just going to pretend that I don't have that April in there. But you would just stretch that out to fit like you wanted it. And then you would ungroup, hide that. You're going to weld that piece in. And then you're going to bring, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Didn't want to get that in there. Just want these two. Once you weld that lid, then you can bring this and cut it out of a different color material. So now you can have this out of glitter, and then have your pretty color cardstock, and then have your acetate in the back, and have yourself a birthday box. I use these boxes for everything. I really do. I really, really do. I love it because I can use it 3 times a year for one person, and it looks like a different box every time I've used it. So the possibilities are just endless. I'm just going to delete this so that this doesn't stay in that file. I don't want to mess up the file that you guys are getting. All right. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I will catch you on Wednesday. No, this is Wednesday. I'm sorry, guys. My head's not here. I will not be here on Saturday because funeral. Yep, Friday. As far as I know, I'm still going to be able to do Fridays live. And this is going to be Freebie Friday. So this will be a file for everybody. If anybody has anything that they want me to do, please let me know. And we will make sure that you are getting what you want, especially supporters. If you want a file, you want something, let me know. You have to tell me if I'm not giving you what you want. If you need me to do signs or any of that kind of stuff, just tell me that you need a tutorial on that and we will do it. Yay, another subscriber. Thank you, thank you. Alright guys, you have a wonderful Thursday. I'll catch you on Friday, and then I don't know what we're going to do. I haven't decided. I can't decide if I want to do some kind of a flower or I don't know. I think Friday we will do something that we can design and put together so that everybody can learn how to design the file as well as get the file. How about that? I'll do something. We're going to design something on Friday, and then we're going to cut it and make it. So if you have any ideas, shoot it to me. Otherwise, I'll pick a project and we'll do it. Y'all have a great night.